Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It's our pleasure to visit with you this morning. We get together at this time most Mondays through Fridays at 8 o'clock Central or a minute or so before on this Zoom webinar bridge. We get together with our distribution partners to talk strategies, techniques, success stories, and such. And since our primary method of reaching out to small businesses now is through our incubators, our joint venture incubators, you're going to notice that most of our conversations are going to revolve around that. Some of you, of course, are affiliates and you prefer to remain affiliates, and that's fine. Actually, each of the joint venture incubators will have affiliates that refer into them, and we'll be talking about that in just a second. So on today's topic, we're going to talk about some recommended scripting and associated process. We keep adding more joint venture partners, just added one overnight last night. And so this is important as a new joint venture partner for you to understand some best practices of how to meet the goal. Now, let's talk about the goal here at the top. Our goal is to close the credibility gap of small businesses so they have increased access to capital while generating an adult income for you meaning our joint venture partner. Specifically, we want to enroll just one new client per day in your joint venture incubator. Technically, the goal is 100 a quarter, which ends up being what, around 33 new clients per month. But we'll just make it simple for now and say our goal is to enroll one new client per day. Well, that sounds great, right? We know that there's over 30 million small businesses. There's new small businesses forming all the time. We know that most small businesses don't have access to capital that they want, they need, they desire. And often a barrier is they're not credible enough. And that's what we do together, right? Through the joint venture incubator, we're building those credibility factors. So they have things like a commercial address, so they look legitimate. They have a business phone number. We're making sure that they're able to produce their income statements and balance sheets because we give them QuickBooks and so forth. The goal this morning isn't to recap all the benefits of a client working through your incubator, but instead it's to talk about these client generation strategies. Now, you're creative and smart and motivated, and so you're going to come up with ideas above and beyond what I'm sharing with you today. But this is a good foundation, a good base to build your incubator off of, these 4 strategies. Now, the first of which is we can provide you a leads list each week, each day, each month, whatever frequency you need, of recently formed businesses. Now, our database has all businesses, or pretty much all businesses, but a specific valuable subset are those that have recently formed. Now, they could be recently formed as a DBA, sometimes called an assumed name, LLC, C Corp, S Corp, doesn't matter. But that's a pretty good time to reach out to them because they're just getting started. And we can also filter on our database of those that are home-based. Well, that's a pretty good qualifier, right? If that business is home-based, what do you know? You know that they're not going to have optimal access to capital because that's going to be perceived as being high risk. When a business operates out of a home address versus a commercial address, that's going to lock them out. For instance, they're not going to be able to build business credit. You can't build business credit whereby funding comes off the EIN if the business is working out of a residential address. Sometimes clients will get a little wiry with you and they'll say, well, I work from home and it's just fine. Well, I agree with that. We're not saying where you need to work. What we're saying is how your business is positioned. Because if the goal is to make the business credible for funding on its own, on a standalone side, then these credibility factors are important because they're not looking at you as the business owner. And if that business doesn't have a business address, it doesn't look credible. All right, and so strategy number 1, again, in recap, is for your joint venture incubator, and you can do it yourself or delegate it, but reach out to these newly formed small businesses. So number 2 is to work with key influencers. And you've heard us talk about this forever and a day, right? There's nothing better than working with churches, chambers of commerce, business organizations, associations, etc., and letting them know that you own and manage a small business incubator. You're in business to help small businesses close the credibility gap so they can get funded. And in fact, any of the clients in your incubator are guaranteed at least a $100,000 capital raise. And we also happen to be specializing in EIN-based capital raises where there's no personal guarantees. That resonates really well with any organization that has a sphere of influence that involve small business owners. So that is strategy number 2. And we'll talk more about what to do with these key influencers in a minute. Number 3 is educate, educate, educate. Whether you want to teach online, in person, or both, create a sales funnel for your incubator through education. Now, what we're finding working remarkably well is one specific presentation, and we call it affectionately the 27 mistake video. Technically, it's the 27 mistakes that will prevent you from getting approved for business credit and loans. It is available. You can go to 27mistakes.org. You can view it there. It's also linked on the IIMFL homepage. Now, you could certainly just have them go watch it that's already produced, or you could actually be teaching this. And a best practice would be that your incubator would be actively hosting live webinars weekly, maybe a couple times a week, maybe daily, maybe really aggressively a couple times a day. That's up to you. But generating clients through education is an outstanding way to do it. And this message here is factual. It's not some sales pitch. It's opening the eyes of small business owners because no one else typically is telling them these things. You know, they all want money, but they can't qualify. Well, let's help them understand what the problem is. And then, of course, by working through your incubator, you can resolve most of those credibility factors. Now, this can dovetail into the second item, is that we can use this educational message through key influencers as well, of course. The fourth and the final best practice is to develop a team of affiliates. And again, some of you are on the webinar today, like Dion, great person. He just doesn't want to run an incubator. That's fine. He wants to be an affiliate. He wants to generate leads and feed in, and he's very good at it. You're going to find that there's a lot of people that just want a no-cost income opportunity where there's really no responsibility to work with clients. They just want to generate leads, either because they have a knack at it or they already have a sphere of influence and they want to get paid. Well, that's the fourth best practice. Is your incubator, your joint venture incubator, should certainly have an affiliate element where people can refer into you. They don't have any other responsibility and they get paid off of conversions. And so these are the 4 primary client generation strategies that we recommend for our joint venture incubators. Reach out to newly formed businesses, work with key influencers, educate, primarily using the 27 mistake message, and develop a sales team. This sales team doesn't cost you anything, right? These affiliates are saying, yes, I'll go out and I'll find small businesses and I'll feed them into your incubator and only pay me if they convert, only if they enroll. So those are the 4 primary client generation strategies. Is this the end all and be all? Of course not. You can do many other things. For example, one of our new joint venture incubator managers, his focus is working through meetup groups. So he'll go on meetup.com. He'll find groups that are associated with small businesses and entrepreneurs and so forth. And then his focus is to go develop a referral relationship with them. So there's many different ways, but these are the top 4. Scrolling on down. In any case, the priority is to get prospects to your incubator landing page. So we've provided all of you an incubator landing page for your JV incubator. And what you'll want to do is drive your prospects to your incubator landing page, regardless of which of these four methods you're using or any other option. What happens is they'll fill out just 3 simple fields on your landing page. Again, it's coded to you. That would be their name, email, and phone number. And then we'll go ahead and pick it up from there. We'll go ahead and send them the DocuSign incubator agreement. And so that incubator agreement is for your incubator. So they're contracting as a client. They're enrolling as an incubator client with your joint venture incubator, and they're going to turn around and pay you that deposit. They're going to be paying you $999 in the next day or two, normally within 2 days. And so you're seeing some immediate results from that. If they don't sign it right away, then DocuSign is going to send them a prompting, a reminder on a daily basis. Okay, so let's move on down here. So if you've not assimilated the incubator proposition, you certainly should. Now, this is embedded on your joint venture incubator landing page. It's also on the IIMFL website, and specifically here is the YouTube video address. So make sure that you understand how to describe what the incubator does for a small business. That's not what we're capturing in today's discussion. Now, in terms of appointment setting, concepts, and scripting, there's no one right way, and you may have a way that's more comfortable to you or more effective. But if you don't have a good idea of how to get started spreading the word about your joint venture incubator, you might want to consider using this. So now, of course, how did the lead come to you will vary. The scripting here is probably most relevant to category number 1. You've got a list, recently formed businesses, you know the business name, you know their address, typically you'll know the contact person's name, and you'll have the phone number. So what we don't want to do is really be a telemarketer. Now, if that's your nature, and I know at least one of you is literally setting up a telemarketing team to make these types of calls, so we'll treat that a little bit differently. But in general, I'd rather you not have the mindset of, I'm trying to sell you something over the phone, because that's going to have a high risk of burning people out. You're going to get a whole lot of no's. And frankly, a lot of small businesses aren't going to get the help that they really need just because they're turned off by some salesman or saleswoman over the phone pitching them. So instead, what we recommend is certainly feel free to reach them out via phone call, but you want to introduce your joint venture small business incubator and then schedule them to attend one of your webinars, or if you're doing face-to-face meetings. Now, we know when you call a number and they don't recognize the number, a lot of times they won't answer. So I'd call them once. If they don't answer, I wouldn't leave a message. I'd hang up. I'd turn around and I'd call them right back. What you'll see is a lot more people will answer that second call because they think, oh, this must be important. And then in that second call, we'll talk about scripting in a second, leave a message if necessary, obviously, hopefully talk to them. But then I would turn around and send them a quick text to recap what you are trying to do. And the text would be very similar to the scripting below. All right, so what might you say? And so Ed that's actually one of our incubator managers, so we chose his name for this example, but regardless, you'd obviously use your name. Hi, my name is Ed, and I run a small business incubator that helps entrepreneurs meet the credibility factors to qualify for $100,000 or more funding, with an emphasis on EIN-based capital, commonly called business credit. Wanted to see if I might be able to invite you to an educational webinar called the 27 Mistakes That Prevent Small Businesses from Getting Approved for Business Loan, Credit and Loans. So again, you do a quick introduction. What you're trying to do is to move them along in the process. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're trying to educate them. We're trying to move them along the sales process because they're really going from just a name on a list. We need to make them a prospect. Once they're a prospect, we can understand what their needs are and seek to enroll them in the incubator. The mistake that some of you will want to avoid is, or all of you should want to avoid, so the mistake some of you would make otherwise is go from a list, a name on a list, to trying to close the deal. So if they say yes, then you want to go ahead and invite them to one of your upcoming webinars. So again, as an incubator manager, I would strongly recommend having on a regular basis, and you can use Zoom or WebEx or what have you, live webinars. People are kind of weird about live webinars. A lot of times they feel that it's more relevant. However, frankly, we have on demand the same presentation. But regardless, what you want to do is try to connect with them, because the more they know you, the more they trust you, the more likely that they're going to take that next step and become an incubator client. So our recommendation is try to feed them into education, which again can be done live or it can be canned, and you can have them watch it on demand, whichever is your preference. So if they say yes, so you're going to obtain their email address. Keep in mind that if they've already come to your landing page, you have an email address, but the new business database that we have access to, that we provide you leads for free, does not include email addresses. And so you can always text them, right? Because you have their phone number. Most often it's a cell phone number, but you want to invite them to one of your webinars. Now, if they say no, you want to have a pretty crisp response, and this is what we would recommend. Well, please note that this model was created by SBA, SBDC advisors, SCORE mentors, business bankers, and college professors to overcome traditional barriers of accessing capital by identifying the right source of capital based upon your mitigating circumstances and to help you meet the underwriting criteria for approval. How about this? How about I just send you a link to an on-demand YouTube video so you can learn more and make an educated decision, right? So what you've done is you've either tried to get them into a live webinar or worst case scenario, an on-demand. It's the same content either way. It's the 27 mistakes, because with the 27 mistakes, their eyes are going to be open of realizing, oh goodness, there's my problem, or those are my problems. I'm not credible. My business doesn't look credible for the following reasons. And then of course, what you'll want to connect the dots on is how, by being a member of your incubator, that you're able to resolve that. And then email them or text them. What I've learned with emails now, emails will often go into spam or filters, or people get inundated with emails. So whenever possible, I strongly recommend texting them in addition to emailing. Don't count on the email getting through and being read. Now, so a lot of this is really based upon this approach here. But for instance, I was talking to the president of an African-American Chamber of Commerce Friday. It wasn't yesterday, it's Friday. And so what we're doing is a modified approach. So we've got the relationship with the key influencer. It's an African-American chamber. Really, we're looking at in January hitting it hard, but we're going to enroll the first few clients in December to create some success stories. What we're going to do with that Black chamber is create a co-branded landing page that people are going to drive to. So you might say, well, didn't that just cut me out? Absolutely not. So as a joint venture incubator manager, you can approach these key influencers, and what we can do is we can set up co-branded landing pages with them, because that makes sense, right? If you're a member of that chamber, or you're a member of the congregation of the church, if you see the logo of the entity that you're associated with, that creates some trust and willingness to move forward in the process. That doesn't eliminate the importance and the benefit of educating, but it certainly changes the landing page that we're driving them to. And so we'll create those at no cost. You're still getting credit, you're still being paid. And then if you want to do a revenue share with those key influencers, that's up to you, not required to do so. Okay, so back down at the bottom here. So if you're going to approach key influencers, you'll use your incubator flyer. So we create a co-brand, well, I shouldn't say co-branded, a branded joint venture incubator flyer for your JV incubator. We also create, of course, a branded landing page, which we've been talking about. In this case, if you're going to a key influencer, that flyer is going to be really important. And going back to this message here, if you are familiar with this message, you'll realize that we actually use it as a talking piece, that flyer itself. If you're not familiar with it, you should go back and view it. So for prospective key influencers, contact them, share the flyer, and again, offer to educate them. And we can role play it a bit if you want, but it's the same concept. I mean, we are who we are, we do what we do, but you always want to alter what you're saying to resonate with the listener, right? So if I'm talking to the small business owner themselves, I'm talking about what's in it for them. If I'm talking to a key influencer, like the gentleman that's the president of the African American Chamber that I talked to on Friday, that we executed an agreement we're moving forward with, it's about what's in it for him and his organization, as well as his members. And as I mentioned, lastly, if you want to do a revenue share through your joint venture incubator with affiliates or with key referral sources, you can do so. It would come out of your 50, right? We're doing 50-50. On your 50 side, you're generating the clients, you're managing those clients. Our 50, we're doing most of the work, quite frankly, in providing the infrastructure. All right, so what I'd like to do is get to the questions, comments, concerns that any of you have over this reference piece, which should get you started, because from the time that you decide, yes, I want to have a joint venture incubator, we want to have you up and going and enrolling clients within the first week. Of course, you'll pay in the $250 payment to get the incubator set up, but we want you to recoup that plus more in the first week. And so what we'll be doing is we'll have to draft up the agreement that's going to be signed by the client, that's between your incubator and the client. So we'll get that drafted up and over to you, but it's the same template we use for all of our joint venture incubators. It just ties to your entity. We're going to get the flyer set up that's branded to your JV incubator, and we need to get the landing page set up. What you'll need to do is make sure that you have a bank account open, because clients are going to start paying you this week. You need to have somewhere to put that money into where clients are paying you. We request that you have a standalone bank account that you use for the JV purposes. So just go down to your bank and say, hey, I need to open a new bank account or another bank account if it's an existing entity, and then allow those deposits to go into that account, just so we're all transparent and because we're doing a 50-50 split. All right, so let's get to some of the questions that you have. So Brian is an insurance agent, and he's got some questions regarding how we're writing the key person policies through the JV incubators. So yes, we have that set up. We just need to get an application in. Well, first we get your JV incubator set up, Brian. So we can do that today if you'd like, or tomorrow. We'll be closed Thursday and Friday, but we can do that today or tomorrow. We get your JV incubator set up, and then part of that onboarding is to get you plugged in so we can get the key persons written. And the way that it's written, it's almost 100% contract, between 90 and 100. So good comp. It's a return of premium policy, which that's the model we want to follow at the incubator. People love that. They either die and the policy pays out, or they live and they get their eligible premiums back. It's simplified underwriting. And then we actually have a team that really works with the clients. And so when I say this, it's not an exaggeration. The agent spends about 5 minutes of time, and that's it. So yes, Brian and the rest of you that are licensed agents, we can help you with that. We just need to get your JV incubator set up, and then we'll do the onboarding, which includes getting you ready to write those policies. All right, so let's see, we've got another question. Okay, so the next question is from one of our current incubator managers. He's asking, well, what happens if the client says I can't afford the $9.99? So, which is the deposit, refundable deposit, but the deposit to enroll in the joint venture incubator. Well, that's okay. If they can't do that, then you can drop back to the alternative, which we talked about on yesterday's training, which is the low price commercial address. So at least we can get them plugged into a commercial address. That's just a one-time payment. The client pays $500, and that includes two things. That includes the commercial address for a year, which is equivalent to like $41 a month, which is a good price. What makes it a great deal is we'll go ahead and help them build out their business credit as a perk of being a member, even on that limited basis with your incubator, and that's easily at a $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 value. We're not charging them any performance fees on top of that. So you have your normal option, and then you have a low option if you need to. But if someone is wanting to start a business or already has started a business, they want capital, but they lack the credibility. And here we are showing them, here's the things that you need to be credible. And we can help you meet most of those by being a participant in our incubator. If they don't have $1,000, what I would do is I would hire them. I'd put them on your team of affiliates, let them go out and earn some income, because there's something going on in their life. Whatever, I'm not placing judgment, but whatever they've done from the time that they were 18 till today, they've saved no money. They're not generating enough money to enroll in your incubator. They're on tough times. And again, I'm not belittling that. So what they probably need is some earned income to be able to get their business set up properly. So hire them as one of your affiliates, cost them nothing. They go out, they generate business for your incubator. You do some sort of revenue share with them, and you help fund their deposit. That's the simple solution. When people don't have enough money to set up a business properly, first of all, it's their problem. It's not our problem. But our solution to their problem is, hey, that's fine. How about I get you some extra income so you can set this business up right? Because if you don't set your business up credibly, you're not going to be able to access capital, right? You're going to be red flagged. Excellent question. All right, so Toussaint asks, so the main resource or outcome gained from a customer in the incubator is proper structuring to get business credit and loans. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think that we're providing them the entire credibility set of variables that's important for accessing capital beyond just business credit. But certainly, if you want to access business credit, there's some basics that you have to meet. And that includes having a commercial address. That includes having a business phone number listed with directory assistance. That includes having a web presence. That includes not using Gmail or Yahoo or personal emails. So it certainly does meet the credibility requirements to build business credit, and it positions them well for any type of capital raise that they're looking for. Thank you, Toussaint, for asking that. Robert asks, as an incubator, joint venture incubator, how much is he paying? So it's $250 for us to set up the incubator. We lose a little bit of money each time we set up a new incubator, but that's our problem, not your problem. I don't want you to think that we're somehow profiting off of that. So we're going to get your joint venture incubator set up. You're going to pay the $250. So now we're open for business. And we did the financial projections, and you've probably seen that before. So I won't flip over to that now. But what we're going to do is help. Well, actually, I guess I have it right here. We're going to help you implement. We're going to work together, Robert, and start making, some adult money here. And so while we are a 501c3 nonprofit, no money, no mission. We have to have the income to be able to support you. And so it's $250 to get your incubator set up. And then we open it up for business. We start enrolling clients. And so just, we've talked about this before. There's a license fee for the incubator model. It's the equivalent of $1,000 a month, but we break it down into weekly payments. But that's what is that? 1,000 out of a projected cash flow of 80,000. That's 1/80th of your revenue. That is your overhead cost for being able to execute this strategy. And then as a percentage, once we start really laying on some volume, if I could highlight that properly, which I apparently can't, it's 1/290th, 1/315th. But yes, the incubator is not free. For people that want free, you become an affiliate. Affiliates work for incubator managers. And so it's just fine to be an affiliate. You can work with an incubator manager. They'll pay you, they'll train you, they'll support you. So it's okay. Not everyone is cut out to be an incubator manager. Incubator managers want to be leaders. They want to earn an adult income. Okay, let's see here. Got a question about the rest of the incubator proposition. And so what I would recommend is, if you're not familiar with that, because we spent time on several trainings, go back and watch this. And it's, again, also on the homepage of the IIMFL website if you need to get yourself more familiar with the incubator value proposition. Thank you for that question. And for the Excel spreadsheet, yes, what we'll do is we can set up a call and we can actually change variables, because you might not agree with all these. You might say, well, there's no way I'm going to enroll a client a month. I'm only going to be able to enroll 3 clients a week. Well, great. Then we can go in together. We'll set up a Zoom. We'll share this, and we can do what if scenarios all day long to change these variables that will impact the profit and loss. So absolutely, just schedule a Calendly. We can set up a Zoom and we can do what if scenarios. I believe that we've emailed this spreadsheet out in the past, but I can certainly include it with this recording as well, since some of you are asking for it. And yes, sir, Robert, we can work with you on that. Apply that deposit. Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark. What questions do any of you have about the value proposition of running a joint venture incubator? And if it's not the right fit, that's fine. I'm not here trying to persuade you. Then what we'll do is we'll match you up with an incubator. You can refer into them. Now, if you're currently an affiliate, does everything else change? No, you can still refer into our website, to the Access to Capital program. All of that continues to remain. That's fine. So I don't want you to feel that has changed. Just wanted you to know that the incubator model is our bread and butter, because it most effectively closes the credibility gap, positioning small business owners to have what they need to build business credit and access capital. And so, yes, we'll work with you on the business development strategy, Brian, so don't worry about that. Toussaint asked where the $4.99 comes from. Okay, so I think what Toussaint's asking, what I mentioned earlier, which wasn't referenced on this sheet, but we talked about it in yesterday's training, right? It was this here, the low price business address. So if the client doesn't have the confidence in you and or the willingness to enroll in the full incubator, then you can enroll them where they just simply get a business address, and will also build out their business credit. And that is $4.99, and as with the model, the joint venture model, we split that 50-50. So, and Toussaint, I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, even if you just sold one of these a week, it would cover your overhead for your incubator, because we're doing a 50-50 split off of it, right? I mean, that's how low of a break even we have. If we just help one small business a week get a commercial address through your incubator, they pay $4.99. We split that 50-50. You will go ahead and onboard them. what we'll do is we'll help them build their business credit, which is talked about here. Thank you, Toussaint, for asking that. Sorry to confuse. So this is our backup option. When the client won't come on to the full incubator, we can at least get them a commercial address, create a client relationship with them, and get $250 net into your pocket. Of course, the goal, though, is to help as many possible get into the full incubator, which will put $9.99 in your pocket up front, and then, of course, a number of other revenue streams coming from that, because any incubator client, we're guaranteeing a $100,000 capital raise. We know that you're getting 3% of the 6%. And so that's where those numbers really add up in the pro forma. All right, so there's a question on the weekly payments. So that's a good point. So the weekly payments are $99 for participants in the incubator. Well, can we be flexible? You got to realize we're absorbing the cost. We're paying for QuickBooks for them every month. We're paying for their phone service every month. We're hosting, separate from development, we're hosting their website every month. And so very soon, your incubator would have to make a decision. Do you want to lose money on every client? Now, that's a decision you may want to make, but that's not a decision that we want to make. We don't want to spend more than we make. So the $99 a week, which is the equivalent of what, around $400 a month, is a 50-50 split, which we talk about on this. Where are we at? 50-50 split of the incubator fees. However, we have to receive out of portion of that enough to cover our costs, because we're the ones paying for their QuickBooks. We're the ones paying for their phone service and such. And so if you look at incubators paying for the equivalent of $396, but $400 a month, that is not an exorbitant cost, but that's, if we're going to offer this value proposition that meets these credibility factors, we have to generate enough income to be able to offset that. If that's not the right fit for them, again, you can always bounce them down to just the business address. They're going to have just a one-time fee. You'll still put a quick $250 in your pocket, and we'll probably still have a good chance to help them in other ways, including the access to capital and a capital raise thereafter. Yes, Robert, I'll send you the spreadsheet out. Answer the question about the $99 fee. All right. So I think we've got it. So what we need to do is just go over to the IIMFL website, go down to the bottom. You can submit an inquiry. You can let us know that you're interested in running a joint venture incubator. We can get that set up. If that's not your cup of tea, that's okay. Then continue to be an affiliate. Refer in just the way that you have, and then we'll have a special type of affiliates, I guess you would say, that fall under JVs. Those of you that are directly with us as an affiliate, the status quo remains. All right. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon. Have a good day.